Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Crypto Insider channel. I am the Crypto Insider, back with another cryptocurrency video for you on the YouTubes. Hopefully my audio issues are all sorted out and I'm not blasting into your ear right now. You know, I have a microphone setting that's usually at 10.4 decibels, but it was very, and it's usually fine, but it was showing very low levels today. So I boosted that up to 24.9, and that's quite a jump. So hopefully your brains haven't exploded from the sound of my voice. In any case, if you're new to the channel, what you're seeing on the screen before you is the donation we make to @GoodXRP each day. We send some donation based on the number of new subscribers that we get to the channel. And they take that donation, break it down, and send it off to a bunch of different charities. And we appreciate their mission. Helps them do a whole bunch of good things and helps us get subscribers. So win-win. Very rare to find a win-win. And some do argue that it's a win-win-win because you will get notified of new videos. So, I mean, the triple win is like the unicorn. Before we jump into what's going on in the crypto markets today, I do want to say that I'm not a certified financial planner, registered investment advisor, tax broker, or tax accountant, stockbroker. I don't sell any investment products, and I'm not marketing any investment products or advice to you today. But this is an opinion channel. I am somebody that's worked in the fintech space for 17 years with a lot of the heavy hitters, including some Ripple partners. And sometimes, just sometimes, I might have some insight that maybe someone else isn't sharing, or isn't sharing enough. I don't know. Let's see what we have today. We'll just make it up as we go along and review the news, so to speak. The first thing we're going to look at is live coin watch, and I know if anybody's watching the price, we've been in an uptrend over the past 12 hours, it looks like. XRP making the biggest gains in the top 10, maybe the top 20, probably the top 20. Maybe out of all the alts, XRP making the biggest gain, almost 10%, up $0.176685 or 17.6 cents, however you want to say that. And it has diverged from the chart here. Bitcoin dominance dropping a little bit, a negligible amount. I'm not sure exactly what is spurring the XRP buying right now, if it's just chart patterns or if there's an actual solid reason for it. I do have some stories on it that we'll look at. Maybe they'll provide us with some more insight. As we go down, nothing is really comparing to the win on XRP. Tesla's down a little bit. And this is starting to actually look to me more like the normal pattern that we used to see with Tezos. When everything else was up, it would be down a little bit, and when everything else went down, it would be up, and it would sort of hedge against those downward movements. And this is the sort of activity that I saw before the coronavirus crisis ever came out. So it's actually looking more normal to me than not. Link making some gains over the past 24 hours, up 1.52%. And here I accidentally hit a tab, so sorry about that. Kyber Network making some gains. Again, I'm not seeing anything that's really standoutish that's not XRP or HBAR making small gains, fractions of a penny. But good news. I'll take a 10% gain. I'm not sure on what it is. I was looking at the liquidity index spot, and it looks like the Australia corridor is coming back quite a bit. There's still some work to go on the Mexican corridor, but obviously as the global economy depresses, there's going to be less transfers of wealth throughout the world. So that's something we're going to watch to come back as well. I'm sure we will exceed all-time highs. Let's go to our Coinalyze page. We had some good indicators over the last hour or so. Everything's pretty much green. We got some overbought down there in the oscillator. So that's all good news. This is saying we're only up 8.82% for 24 hours, with the high actually just breaking 18 cents. We got some news about the lawsuit that I don't know if anybody else has got to yet. If they haven't, I'm sure they will. So maybe I'm the first YouTuber or one of the first ones to put out this news today, hopefully, depending on when the video actually comes out. Sometimes I hold them a while to make sure they meet YouTube's algorithm requirements. But by Samuel Hague, lawsuit accuses Ripple CEO of touting XRP while silently liquidating holdings. There's a few thoughts I have on this article, but let's read through it. There was a new movement in a class action lawsuit originally filed in May 2018, centered around allegations that Ripple violated the violated the Securities Act through a 2013 initial coin offering of the XRP token. Remember, the Honorable Judge Phyllis Hamilton gave the plaintiff an a time frame to which they could amend their complaint. On March 25th, an amended complaint accuses Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse of touting the token to prospective investors while silently liquidating his holdings. Okay, so the first big headline here is Garlinghouse accused of liquidating 67 million XRP in 2017. The amended complaint also emphasizes that Garlinghouse represented himself as a very, very, very long and on the HODL side with regard to XRP during 2017, suggesting that the Ripple CEO was holding his XRP for the long term, and he probably has held some for the long term. Despite his online post, the plaintiffs alleged that Garlinghouse sold 67 million XRP during 2017, adding that he was liquidating all the tokens that he received from Ripple within days of receipt. The suit also asserts that all 100 billion of the XRP in existence were created out of thin air by Ripple at its inception in 2013 before any distribution and without functionality except as a speculative investment. Okay, so here's a few things that I think the Ripple lawyers are going to get a hold of and hammer on. First off, it is not illegal for Brad Garlinghouse to liquidate his XRP if he wants to. He could have easily chosen to hold them long, and maybe he did hold some long. Also, he can say whatever he wants. Brad Garlinghouse could represent himself as very, very long and on the HODL side, and still sell XRP. You know, I've sold XRP and I'm very, very long and on the HODL side too. That doesn't mean that if an opportunity comes along that I won't sell some XRP to get into another position. Also, his lawyers are going to hammer home that Brad Garlinghouse is not a registered investment advisor. He's not taking to Twitter to give investment advice. If this person invested or thought they were investing and failed to do their due diligence, that is on them, not Brad Garlinghouse. Certainly, he never marketed XRP as a security or an investment vehicle. Ripple has never done that. And, sorry if this guy lost his 500 XRP and didn't Lambo. Or however much they bought. As far as all 100 billion of the XRP in existence were created out of thin air, look, every single dollar in the USA was created out of thin air. We're creating dollars every day out of thin air. I don't know how much weight that is. And to say without functionality except as a speculative investment is quite wrong. Ripple accused of misrepresenting XRP's utility to dodge securities laws. The plaintiffs also added emphasis to claims that Ripple and Garlinghouse misrepresented XRP as having the utility of comprising a bridge currency so that the token could evade being classified as a security. instance, claims that XRP has a utilitarian purpose are false, the plaintiffs state, adding, these claims are misrepresentations and omissions of material facts to investors because the utility of XRP, or lack thereof, is pertinent to the value of XRP. Simply stated, these false claims about XRP's utility are nothing but an attempt to avoid the application of security laws and drive demand for XRP. Listen, do you really want them to bring CEO of MoneyGram, Alexander Holmes, onto the stand and talk about that? Tell you that it has no utilitarian purpose or a lack thereof? Do you really want that? Because that's exactly what I would do if I was Ripple's legal team. Because look, you can say it doesn't have utility, but there are at least 30 major financial institutions that would angle to disagree with that, as they are using it every single day, and they're using it more and more, as we see in the liquidity index spot. So to say that this purpose is just false to avoid securities laws, in my opinion, is misguided. So I think that the lawsuit, to me, actually looks worse for the plaintiff now than it did before, now that they've amended it. I think that any legal team worth their salt is going to pound out a lot of these particular complaints. And I still don't know if well, I know for a fact that the courts really can't declare something to be a security. That's not the job of a court. That's the Securities and Exchange Commission. They may say that Ripple was selling unregistered securities, but I don't know how that affects the legality of it if the CEC comes back and says, or the SEC comes back and says, no, it's not a security. And, a lawsuit's already been decided on, in the opposite way. So let's say Ripple wins the lawsuit, and the courts say it's not a security, but the SEC says, yes, it is a security. Then what happens? Does this guy refile a lawsuit, or appeal the decision? And if it goes against Ripple, and they say the California court says, yeah, this is an unregistered security, and then the SEC comes out and says, no, it's not. Does Ripple have any sort of standing to go back and challenge that court decision? I don't know. So my guess is they're gonna they probably should just stall as long as they can, Ripple, until they get a letter from the SEC, because that might have some impact on the case. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. In addition to tax accountant and stockbroker, I'm also not a lawyer. Those are just my opinions on it. From Being Crypto, Vadran Tahiri, I don't think we've ever covered. XRP fractal indicates the beginning of an upward move. And we saw this, now it's going to talk about Satoshis on us. We saw this over the past 24 hours, but this chart here that this person put said that we were at the possible bottom of the accumulation phase, which means that we're due for a cycle change or a reversal upwards. We'll see. Like I said, I don't know exactly what's causing this price movement, why there's more bulls in XRP right now than there were yesterday, or if it's whale manipulation or something like that. We will see if it sustains over the weekend. The weekends are generally hard for crypto. When we come back on Monday, we'll have a better understanding of which way the price went from here and why, probably. I've been talking about the XRP escrow release, on 4/1, or coming up, and it looks like Leonidas's page, XRP Arcade. Love Leonidas's content. XRP Arcade's a great site. It has a lot of information about a lot of things. I believe he's a subscriber to the channel, so if you're listening, thank you, Leonidas, for all of your hard work. But there are 2 wallet releases for 4/1, totaling 1 billion XRP. And this is important because we don't know what Ripple's going to do with them. We don't know if they're cash strapped right now. due to the coronavirus. Everybody's suffering a downturn. So that leads me to believe that if they're ever going to sell the escrow release instead of putting it back into escrow, this might be the month that they do it. This might be the month that they sell it. If they do it, it might depress the price. So if I had a huge stock of money stocked away and was looking to buy XRP, I would probably wait at this point to see what they end up doing with this billion XRP. Obviously, if it all hits the market, that should, by the laws of supply and demand, depress the price and maybe let you get more for your money than if you just bought right now and then it happened. Then you would be in possible loss on that position. In any case, I believe that XRP is going to raise well past its all-time highs at some point. But I, if I knew when that point was, I would probably end up being a multi-trillionaire. This next article is Bitcoin a safe haven? 80% Bitcoin price recovery boost investor appeal. Okay, so one thing I always say is I don't understand Bitcoin as a store of value, as digital gold, or why you would want to put your... So when it's all just bits and data and ledgers, distributed ledgers, doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin, XRP, Tezos, does it really matter much? So why would you put your value, why would you store your value in the slowest, clunkiest blockchain just because it was the first one? And that's where I think investors are going to go at some point. But this article is saying that right now, still as of right now, Bitcoin's the best asset of the week. People are seeing it as safety. Bitcoin showed the best return from all these assets, gaining more than 10%. So it looks like, people are coming back to Bitcoin. At the same time, an investment in gold came with a negative return, retracing around 4.4%. For investors who opted for the precious metal instead of other safe haven alternatives such as Bitcoin. Indexes like the S&P and the Nasdaq kept declining, leading investors to lose 16.2 and 13.5% respectively. But there's a lot of different economic data or metrics in this article. But it's just saying that basically people are seeing Bitcoin more as a safe haven now. They're coming back to it. We'll see if that continues. But I noticed as these good market days have happened with the Dow, the Bitcoin price has recovered a little bit. And I think it's just still that most people, most of your average crypto buyers may only know or may not even know that altcoins exist at this point. They've heard of Bitcoin, maybe they've heard of Ethereum. But to a lot of people on the street, if you started telling Joe Schmo about XRP and its usage, and that it was on a decentralized ledger, he would say, "Oh, you mean Bitcoin?" And of course, you don't mean Bitcoin. You mean XRP. They're two different things. But you got to remember, we're immersed in this. We look at this every day, and we read about it every day, and we have a pretty good understanding of it. But that is not the average human's experience. So I think less than 1% of the entire population has actually invested in cryptocurrency. It's a very small number. At least it was a few months ago when I was looking at that. But so we'll see. Peter Schiff again claiming that only fools are choosing Bitcoin over gold as a safe haven alternative in the market. It just depends on how big the decline is. Peter Schiff making some gypsy-like predictions here. Look, if everything crashes and there's a blackout, you can take your Bitcoin and your gold and shove it right where the sun doesn't shine. I mean, because, canned tuna is going to be way more valuable than either one of those things. So, right now, yeah, he might be right. He might be right for the few weeks. He might be right overall. But I don't think Bitcoin is a good place to store your value, especially if you are one of these people that want to set it and forget it. In other words, if you want to check back in your Bitcoin a few years from now and just set it aside, you could end up being in a very bad place, especially if there's an alt season and value starts to become more in line with utility. If that happens, Bitcoin's dead. And I would agree with Peter Schiff that, you'd be a fool to choose it in that regard. But if you want to make more short-term, when I say short-term, I mean within a few years, if you want to make more short-term gains with Bitcoin, I believe there could be opportunity there, especially now with the halving coming up. Anyway, that's it for today's video. There's my music. It's telling me to get the hell out of here and have a good weekend. I will be back. I will put some more videos up for you to click on and continue your crypto insider journey. Please like and subscribe. We do appreciate it. It helps us, and it definitely helps us in the YouTube algorithm. So have a great weekend, everyone. We will see you probably tomorrow.